Greeted you there that day?
Well, when Pfeiffer, my vice president, was driving, he was very courageous. He wasn't afraid of anything. And because I had asked Reverend Woods, and Woods kind of got out. He said, he tells her when he introduced me, he said, Pfeiffer said, I drive. He said, yeah, Pfeiffer, you drive. So Woods watched this whole thing from about a block away. Fine fellow, though. But my wife was sitting in the rear with the 3 children. Pfeiffer and I were in the front seat. When we first got there, my wife got out first, and the Klansman evidently didn't intend for her to get out. Pushed the door back on, and my daughter was getting out and hurt my daughter's foot in the door. And my wife had a thick girdle, and she didn't know one of them had stabbed in the hip with a switchblade knife. And she didn't know it till she was at the hospital after I'd gotten beat up. But at any rate, so I got out, and the Klansmen were determined to kill me this day. They were saying things like, well, let's kill this SOB. I don't mean Saab. Let's kill him today, and it's all will be over. And excuse me, one of them said, we missed him last time. Talk about the bombing. But this is it today. They really intense. So they pulled my coat up over my head and carried me, I guess, 30 or 40 feet away from the car, kicking, stomping, knocking me down. I guess I must have been knocked down at least 6 or 8 times. And they were kicked. First time I saw brass knuckles, I was being struck with it. And a guy had a bicycle chain, kept striking me. And I realized that I had to get back to the car, else I would die on the thing. It's an amazing thing, though, to say that I didn't fear. I wasn't nervous. I just knew I had to get back to the car. I didn't pray, Lord, save me or nothing. See, people, you don't have to worry about praying, but to God, God already knows what's going to happen.
Stand by.
Reverend Shuttlesworth, let's go back. Tell me again now, when you got out of the car, what happened?
The mob immediately surrounded me and began tugging with me. Now, there were 2 or 3 policemen. They could have really stopped it. But one of them said to them, now you don't want to do this. The policeman said. But you know, a policeman has power to call other people to do, but they didn't. They intended to let them get to
So there were policemen there watching.
There were at least 3 policemen, maybe more. But they intended for me to get beat up that day, and I hate to say it, but as I think about it now, they hope not to get killed. Mm-hmm. And I like to get killed. So I was, in reference at least as far as here that corner, over 35, 40 feet away. And I had been kicked in a number of times and struck with the chain. And I began to sense that this guy that hit me with the chain, it was brilliant daylight. And whenever he would hit me, it would be like a sort of a shadow come across. And I realized I had to get back to the car. Yes, I'm going to die there, sure enough. Mm-hmm. But one of the things that the weakness of a mob is that everybody's trying to kill you. Nobody allows this one to get to it, so everybody's in each other's way. And my job was to push through. And I got just about to the car, and there was one man waiting, and he was swinging the chain. I remember this out of the haze. I realized if I got struck at least twice more, I would die right there. And so I just ran, sort of stumbled into him, and he fell over. And I fell up into the car. Now, Pfeiffer had the sense of prayer and leave that door open. See, had it been Woods, he would have driven off, and I would have died. But Pfeiffer even left the door open. So I fell up into the car, and he reached over and was pulling me up into the car. And I think when I saw the film, my feet were still sticking out as he drove off.
And the children are still in the car?
Yeah, they were in the car. They didn't get back out. So I get over to the hospital, and 2 young white nurses, one of them was really, she said, I can't see why anybody let all this damn be happening to him. Why in the world would you let yourself? I just said one word. I said, you wouldn't understand if I told you. She kept talking. The other one said, well, he's answered. You wouldn't understand. I didn't say any more. And finally, but they were cleaning me up. See, all the skin was off my face, and I thought my arm was broken, but it wasn't. And one guy kicked me in the side as I was getting in the car. And the worst thing I got out of it was I saw little smithers of blood in my urine that same day, but no more since then. Mm-hmm. So the doctor came in, and he was so apologetic. I felt sorry for him. And he said, and it was another thing you should remember, that most of the people in the hospital who were ambulatory were going by. See, it was really a scene. And the doctor came in. He was so sorry, and he expressed it. I said, well, doctor, it's neither your fault nor mine. We just have to do this, and I'm sure you would understand. He said, well, okay, let me examine. So he examined me ad infinitum, just to all sorts of ways. And he finally said to me, he said, as much as you were struck on the head, looked like you ought to at least have, I looked for concussion, or at least a contusion. I think contusion is smaller. Mm-hmm. He said, you ought to at least have a contusion. I said, well, doctor, the Lord knew I lived in a hard town, so he gave me a hard skull. So he said to me, I wish you would stay in the hospital because I need to observe you. Really, you've been through a thing. Well, my mind was on that night. I knew the mass meeting was going to meet, and I had to get there to keep them from getting violent. The movement would have been run. So I said to him, well, doctor, the only reason you can order me to stay in the hospital, but you have to have 2 policemen outside the door and 2 inside so they could take care of each other. I said, now if I go home and die, I die among my friends. But over here, I can't choose how I die.
And you really thought it was a possibility you could be killed in the hospital?
Yes, of course. The Klan,